Eden Cause here would just be Spiritual Boom. And I'm here with Craig Campbell, and I will introduce him in just a second. And I'm going to be, my intro is probably redone at this point because we're no longer gentle here. We're getting into the meat of stuff. Okay, and we're podcasting here. Craig and I were also videoing this, and we don't have any mics hooked up to the video, so I don't know how the sound quality is going to be. Please say hello, dear sir.
Hello. How are you, Eden?
I'm good. Craig and I met probably about a year ago.
Yeah, a little over a year ago.
Something like that. We were in a constitutional group together, or a patriot group, or whatever
Yes.
you want to call it. And I've asked Craig to be here today because he's doing something right now that is very astounding. So he is becoming, so these are the things I want to talk about. He is in the process of becoming a state national.
Correct.
Okay. And I also want to talk to him about his kids in school with masks, because I think that is very illuminating, because he was really brave.
Yeah.
And really stuck to your guns, even though other people weren't with you.
Yes.
Let's say that. And the reason, and I'm going to be looking here a lot, so I have my camera right there. The reason I wanted to talk to Craig too was Craig was very, in our group, very articulate, very, he's just a man of passion and good with words. And so that's why I wanted him to be here today. So to formally introduce you, your father of four.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. What are your kids' ages?
Well, one just turned 9 yesterday.
Okay.
And then one's turning 7 next week. And then I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Okay,
so you got some babies.
I got some babies, yeah.
Okay, no teenagers yet.
No, they try to act like teenagers, but...
Okay, and then I had talked to you before we started recording and filming this, and so I said, "Oh, Craig, do I introduce you as a patriot? What are you?" And you're like, so what would you say to that?
I would just, I wouldn't call it a patriot. I'm just an American man. That's all.
Yeah.
Patriot, the word patriot, or the phrase patriot, it kind of gets just distorted. Because some people say they're patriots, and really they think patriotically, but they really don't act patriotically. They're patriotic at heart, but there's no action to their patriotism.
Right, and what is patriotism anyway? I mean, it's a loaded, that's
really
good.
Well, patriotism is something you spread.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to reach out to others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes you a patriot, is of making people aware of their surroundings and what's happening and how things got the way they are, how things got lost, and how to correct that.
So that leads, if appropriate, into this question. How did you, or when did you start to notice that things were a little disjointed? Oh, a little feedback there. Little disjointed in the world, or things weren't quite, what words would you use?
It started way back for me. I mean, when I first decided to start my own business, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and I was just like, well, why is this? And in that business, it was commercial truck business. Regulations changed every year.
Okay.
Sometimes every 6 months. So you had to just adjust everything, and next year you're doing more work, spending more money for no reason at all. And the more they put regulations on you, the more they throttle you back. And it got to the point where I was like, who is setting these rules? And then you find out that, you have larger corporations like FedEx, UPS. They're the ones lobbying all these regulations. They're the ones going to Washington, setting all the regulations. Mm-hmm. And it's for their own interest. So they can be the big dog on the street. And the little man goes bye-bye. Because they can't control the little man. And, you look at it now, used to be owner-operators everywhere. Every truck, rarely, maybe like a union Teamster just running terminal freight. That was pretty much it. And everybody else, they booked their own jobs, they had their own contracts, and they were actually free to do commerce. And that's not there anymore.
Okay, and I completely understand that being a single business owner as well. Like all these things. Luckily, my studio is in my house right now, so I don't have to concern myself with all this. Just having your own studio and the
Oh yes,
liabilities and just it's crazy.
yeah.
Okay, so what did you do with that? How did you start to question things? And we haven't
Well,
ever talked about this. I love this.
yeah, but that was just like when I started realizing that you're not really free. People
Yeah.
believe, oh, freedom, freedom, you can do what you want. No, 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 no. It's not. Somebody's got their thumb on you,
Okay.
and that's when I started. Once you start waking up to little things like that, then you start seeing how everything works. Like just in business, and then it goes to education, and then where we're at now, it goes all the way up to your health
Hmm.
and international commerce and how all that works. I mean, the doors never close; they just keep on opening and opening and going in every direction, and you can just see the patterns. And that's the thing is pattern recognition. There's no coincidences, and you have to tie those pieces together. And that's just how I started becoming more aware of how the world works. I guess you could say
Right.
how it actually how it's functioning their way, not the people's way. And it just keeps on going.
So did you like come to these realizations yourself? Did you have assistants, or you was like, "Hey, I see this, and then I see this"?
No, it's pretty much just myself and people. Even like my brother. He's a very successful businessman. He just looks at me. He's like, "Oh, dude, you're just just keep on going this way, and you'll get there." And as I said, they try to make you go down this. They control your vessel. It's a phrase. They control your vessel to go down a certain path, and only that path, and never veer off.
Okay.
I It's odd. It's odd the way business works, and it's with everything though. It's not just business; it's everything you do in your life. I mean, you having your debit card and going to the store and buying things. How did it get there? How is it on a shelf?
Mm-hmm.
Who regulated it on the shelf? Where did it come from? Yeah, there's so much that can open up from that. It's just,
Yes.
it's beyond crazy.
And as I talk about a lot, going down the rabbit hole in what you're talking about, and then there's all these other like school and education and finance, and all that goes into finance as well. But it just becomes this. Oh, here's this, and then oh, that leads to this, and oh my goodness, did you look at this?
Yes.
Okay. So is now a good time to lead into telling folks about becoming a state national and what that means in the process?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't completed the full process. I'm there. I guess I'm in the door per se.
Yeah.
I haven't received my final confirmation documents back. I've received some of them back, but final ones haven't come through. But there's so many things.
Okay, so let me go ahead. Does that mean you're no longer going to be a U.S. citizen?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I should have said that up
Yeah.
front, and I may add that in.
Yeah.
All right, talk about that.
Okay, so you're a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a rabbit hole. It really is a rabbit hole. Some people are just like, this is just insane.
Okay.
Like, well, when you were born,
Go for it, man.
when you were
Go
born,
for it.
they issued a birth certificate.
Yes.
They controlled that birth certificate. They created a social security number.
Mm-hmm.
They created a QSIF number. And then they sold you in bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So all you are is a number.
Yes, and this stuff I know, so I'm so glad he can articulate it so beautifully. Go ahead, man.
So whenever you walk into the courtroom, you're not a woman. You're just that number.
Mm-hmm.
And however much you're worth, they can take. That's why a lot of people are just like, how did all these criminals just get released? They were worthless. They're nothing to them. If they're valuable, they'll incarcerate them.
Okay.
And they'll throw them in a federal prison, which is run by a corporation, not by the federal government. And that corporation then controls all their money. And they're sold overseas in bonds. People say, hey, buy, that's the biggest thing up until like a few weeks ago. Buy U.S. bonds, buy U.S. bonds. All foreign countries, they buy U.S. bonds because they're tied to us and they know Americans are valuable.
Okay.
So they buy those bonds. when we do not become valuable anymore, just like the past couple of weeks, everything's been tanking.
Right.
They can't sell a bond. U.S. bonds are down. I mean, you look at Britain, what's going on over there. They're in serious trouble. They're looking at an economic collapse.
Yeah, and probably a lot of people don't know about this. I'm going to get you right.
Oh yeah, go. Yeah, that's fine.
Tell people, because in the mainstream news, a lot of this isn't covered. So what's going on in Britain?
Well, pretty much, they have no way to. They have no value. They've lost everything. They've just made a fake entity of an economy, and they've made too many promises, and it's hitting the wall right now. What do? We just keep printing. Just keep printing.
Yeah.
And it, I mean, that's going to hit a wall. I mean, we're almost there.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, but as far as becoming a state national, it's pretty much just me correcting myself that I am not this fictitious entity that was created. I am a man.
Okay, so are you doing this with your kids right now, or just
no? That's down the road. Like I said,
okay.
This is
starting
only
with you.
This is the only beginning.
Okay.
You have to file they're called 928s, and what they are is you file documents with the state attorney general, and you know your baby deeds. You claim your children as a man, or a child, or boy or girl, and they're your property, not theirs. Which schools don't like that, because the children belong to the school.
Whoa.
They're their children, because they actually make that money off them. So every head in there, they get tens of thousands of dollars a year for them.
Is this a conspiracy theory?
No, this is absolutely true.
Right.
That's why they want your kid enrolled in school, because they get the money. Now you've seen, these aren't.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they try to tell the children, you don't need to listen to your parents, and because we're the ones who you can talk to. We're the ones who can tell you what to do, what you should do, and how to feel. And you can be whoever you want. Don't worry about it. We won't let your parents know. And you can see what's going on in just the past few months. Everything is just getting exposed. And now with the CDC, what was it? The determination they made for the childhood mandating, added to immunizations to children. In some states, I hope parents are just like, I'm not sending my kids to school, and let them just go bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Let those schools close. There's no reason for it whatsoever.
Is this what you're talking about? The schools can immunize?
No, they're adding it to the pediatric list of vaccines that's required.
Yes, required to have.
To go to school.
Yes.
Which in Ohio, you don't have to have those. I mean,
right, you can file a medical
exemption,
or a exemption of consciousness. Or religious.
Yeah, religious or whatever, yes.
And I think Ohio is consciousness, but not every state has consciousness as well, but we have 3.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do you think you're going to get your paperwork back in? Is it close to being?
Yeah, well, when it's finalized, they're supposed to let me know, and then I actually have to send like $50 to have my actual card made.
Is that it? Did you have to have a lawyer in this process?
No,
it's only
no.
$50 and your time.
Well, yeah, the documents you have to file, that's like $46. Okay. Well, that's in Ohio. That's become Ohio State National. I mean, other states are different. They do things a little bit different. We have people like in Pennsylvania. The documents are similar, but they're not totally exact. So we're like, what are we doing? Like, how do we fill these things out? But they actually make you take like an online class, 15 classes you take, and like a little quiz and stuff like that. So you kind of learn, because they don't want to be like, yeah, I want to do this. You have to be actually know what you're doing, how to somewhat defend yourself, and what it is, what it means.
So are these classes like an hour or 30 minutes?
Well, I mean, it's just online. They give you like a list of literature to read, and then you take a test. So some of it is long. Some of it is you have to sit there, you read it, you're just like, what was that? You have to go back and read it again. Because it's like about jurisdictions, land and soil jurisdiction, sea, the air,
Oh my gosh.
how municipalities work.
Okay.
It's pretty. It'll throw your mind for a whirl.
It's pretty cumbersome.
Yeah.
Very detailed, or
yeah, it is, but it comes at you really fast, and you're just like, "Whoa, what is this?" And then you actually have to go back and read it over. You're just like, "Okay, what is it that they're? How do we get here?" And you have to figure out how you got there. It's very interesting. Let's put it that way. The fraud that was committed on American people. It's insane. The fraud. And the fraud continues on a daily basis.
So when you get this and you file, what's it going to feel like?
That's all up to you.
Oh, nicely put.
So, some people want to jump right off the cliff.
Okay.
They're like, I'm not going to pay taxes.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going after my mortgage company because the loan is fraud on my house. I want my house. I want all the, every time they sell your loan, the bank cashes out with your equity every time.
Oh.
So if you have a $400,000 house and you signed that document for the mortgage, the bank went right to the IMF, got $400,000, cashed it.
Okay.
And then they're just like, oh, when financial times go wrong with banks, what do? They sell mortgages. As soon as they sell it, we want $400,000 for that house. Boom. And then it gets sold again. It just repeats and repeats, and it's all done off your equity. The thing is with like the bank, people want to go after a mortgage lender. What I'm doing, I'm not jumping off the cliff.
Okay, good. Good for your kids.
So as soon as I got, as soon as they received my documents, they sent me emails and they said, hey, you need to make these, create these documents with your name, read them over, put your name in there, and you need to fire this off to the IRS. You need to fire this off to Secretary of State. You need to fire this off to, the State Attorney General. That IRS, everything, that you're not paying taxes anymore. All this stuff, and it's just like, okay, all right, I understand that. Like, oh, you really need to send this stuff in, that way, I'm not there yet.
Got it.
Because when they will come for you. And you will end up in court, and you have to defend yourself. There's no attorneys.
Okay. So
because you don't, when you are land and soil jurisdiction, you have to stick to that. You cannot hire anybody from the bar, because as soon as you hire somebody from the bar, you're back to that number. You're playing their game. What you're trying to do is bring them back to the land and soil, the Bible, the 10 Commandments, and common law. That's what you need to stay there. So before I even fire that stuff off,
jeez, God,
I have got to learn how to defend myself in court correctly. You can't even if they call your name,
right? That's
not you, because that isn't your name. Your all caps name is not your name. That is your corporation they created. It's very, so you have to, it's very, and if you screw up once, they got you.
You say they got you, what does that mean?
It means you get drugged back into there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that they're sending you to jail, or maybe.
Oh, no,
they could do whatever they want.
They have no problem throwing you in jail with no bail. They'll give you a contempt of court with no bail, send you to jail for 30 days.
You're waiting on your papers to come.
Yes.
Waiting to file them.
Yes.
And then educating yourself on the next step before you go forward. So you are going to go forward with these next steps, as far as you know?
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Wow. How many other people, okay, knowing that we are in Ohio, and my listeners know that as well, are there many people doing this with you?
No, actually, well, there's people interested and they're showing up and they're learning it.
Right.
But only me and one other have done it.
Okay, I'll
so like and this is a problem. If you have issues, like if you're already in trouble, it's not going to get you out of trouble.
Okay.
So if you're already in trouble and you think, oh, I'm just going to do this, it's not going to get you out
Okay,
of trouble.
I'm not in trouble.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is something for you to, from this day forward, I am living my life this way, and I'm making sure I am living in common law and the law of the Ten Commandments. I am not veering off into the false entity world, matrix, you could call it, I guess. I guess you could call it that.
Yes.
So if there's really much you can't do. I mean, you can do, undo the fraud that was done upon you.
Yeah.
But, that's a little bit more of a battle. I'm not looking to pick fights. I don't want to wind up in jail.
Yeah.
My house is almost paid off. My kids are growing up. I don't want any problems, I guess you could say. I just want to live my life the correct way from this day forward.
If you didn't declare you're not paying taxes anymore, do you feel like you even have to go that route? Or I'd like to take it further, but I don't have to at this point. Or I'm deciding not to take it further.
Well, I definitely would not like to pay federal taxes, because that is totally unconstitutional. Federal taxes are only paid by federal employees. That is in the Constitution. It's not paid by tax-paying citizens. So they only did that during World War II, World War One, I believe. I believe they started out in World War One. Do your part, save the world, pay your taxes. We've heard that recently in the past couple of years. Do your part, save the world. Yes.
Yes, get the jab, wear a mask. Yeah.
Yes. It's the same. It's So they the new normal. They kept on calling.
Yes.
So well, taxes became the new normal back in the 1920s, 1930s. So, but that's the first thing. Federal income taxes, those should be gone. When you get down to property taxes, that's pretty much easy not paying federal taxes. Because the IRS shows up to your door, you just call the sheriff. There's a foreign agent on my front porch, and he needs to be removed. He has no jurisdiction here. None. Because they are actually out. DC is their only jurisdiction. Except for their federal offices, their satellite offices. But as soon as they step out of their federal office, they have no jurisdiction. Even the FBI has no jurisdiction. So that's the crazy things you learn in these courses you take, of how it all works and how they always trick you.
Yes.
Just think about those J6 defendants that are sitting there in Washington. Why are they sitting there in Washington, D.C. without a trial? Because they're on foreign soil. That is not the United States. It is its own sovereign.
There's more, y'all.
Yeah, it's 10 square mile.
Right.
It's sovereign. Just like the Vatican is in Italy. It's the exact same thing. So they're on foreign soil. Yes. So they have no rights. They're pretty much sitting in the Vatican, I guess you could say. Well, it actually is the Vatican, but it's a different story. So.
This is intense. I hope y'all are ready. It's intense. It's always intense.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to baby step it. And, I do not want to pay property taxes, because paying school tax, I don't even send my kids to public schools. Why am I paying tax there? There's no reason for you to pay public schools. I mean, 90% of my property taxes go to the school. 90. And it's the worst school. Their scores are just horrible. Education's horrible. And it's just there's no reason for me to be paying this. But property taxes, the only problem with property taxes is you have a house that they can come take if you don't pay taxes, if you get delinquent. So there's land patents you got to file for your house. There's all kinds of things. Those are the things I have to learn. I just touched the surface of those. I've read them, and then I have to find ways to file, and get those things done. But I work every day, I got little kids, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, just for me to go through those training courses, it took me over a month.
Oh my God. Can I share the link to the training courses?
Well, yeah, you have to, you have to, I'll try to find it here.
You probably already have to be like, oh, I'm just going to take these, but you have to be committed, or have you already?
No, not really.
filed some
It's
paperwork,
a
or-
public website, and but you they do ask for a donation. I
Mhm.
mean, some people are like, I just give them $2. I give them like $25, and
Yeah.
it just use like your Discover card. If you're like I don't know who I'm sending my money to. It was fine
Right.
for me, but I didn't know either. I'm like, who are these people? I just use my Discover card so that way I could just go to Discover and be like, I don't, it was just a site I was on. They asked for a donation. They gave it to them,
Right.
So, I mean, you always have to be careful. That's a crazy thing because there's a lot of tricky people out there
Mhm.
pitching this stuff. And you don't know who you're going to get tied up with. Like, if you remember,
Yes.
we had the same kind of
Yes.
thing happen to us is you never know who these people are. And
Right. So to make that short, tell me if I'm saying this. So in this group that Craig and I were in, it was in a sense infiltrated, because anytime there's a group that's wanting to be better, or I don't want to say be better, but just take a stand. You never know who's going to come into your group, who's going to be a leader. Yeah, being discerning on all levels.
yeah,
That's good.
and you never know. I mean, you take
Right.
a look at the Gretchen Whitmer stuff up in Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and it just like here in Ohio, those kids with the bridge up there. What was that? Peninsula? I can't remember. Somewhere up there, they were going to blow up the bridge, and the whole thing is the exact same.
No, tell more, because
Oh,
I
yeah,
keep my pulse on a lot of things, but I don't know
I,
everything.
I'm a little rusty on this. I think it was like, oh gosh, it was probably like 8-10 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody's gonna blow up. It was like it was across Cuyahoga Valley, like one of the bridges. These kids were gonna blow it up. A lot, they brainwashed these young kids. I mean, they weren't kids. I guess they were like they're 18, 19, or 20 or something like
Okay.
that. And they just, hey, let's, I got this guy. He's got some, C4. Let's buy the C4. And so they go and buy the C4 off the other Fed, and they're like, oh, let's see what we got, and they're gonna blow up the bridge. It's the same. When kids are just like, they're the ones who told us we needed to do this. They're the ones that convinced us to do this. It doesn't matter. You still were going to blow up a bridge, weren't you? Same thing with Gretchen Whitmer. The kidnapping, it was all hoax. It was all, they got these guys. That lady's evil. You're damn right she's evil. Let's go, let's go get her. Yeah, I'd like to go get her. Well, we can do it. What, like, there's like 18 of them total and 12 were feds. It's like, come on. So you really have to be careful. Don't trust anybody. I mean, I'm even in my own group. I mean, it's still like you still have that feeling that, all right.
Okay, so you're still in a group right now.
Yeah. I'm still in a group right now, but still, even then, like some things go off a little bit, and you're just like, well, what's he doing? What's she doing?
Right.
Where's she been?
Right.
Why is she, throwing these messages up on our shared, chats, and you're just like, what, uh-oh.
Okay, and it's a We the People group, is that?
No. Ours it's still Stark County Committee of Safety.
Stark County Committee.
Yeah. So like we still meet. But our group has shrunken drastically because it got to the point where nobody trusted anybody. It's just to the point where some people don't want to do some things like this the state national. Like some people are just like, I don't get it, what it's going to do. I don't know if it's going to help. Right. I don't know what, and it's totally fine. But I'm just like, I have to identify myself as a man living here, born here and living here, and I follow common laws and I follow the 10 Commandments. I'm not, I get to claim that. If you don't claim it, you're still just that fictitious person. People out there, a lot of these screwy groups, some of them are out there just to make money, as we pretty much figured out with that one individual. Okay. He was just trying to just make money. Splitting the group up. Hey, guess what? You guys can come with me. We're really going to do some good stuff. Bring $100 next week. I'll teach you how to do this stuff. And it's just like, no. People do take advantage of others. I mean, there's a group out there. The Italian dude in our group, they're like, hey, you want to be a state national? We can help you. Give us $2,000. We'll make it happen. And he's just like, $2,000? That's a little steep. Oh, yeah. I mean, and there's people that did it to that. But you know what? They don't know anything.
Right.
You have to be able to defend yourself. You have to be able to play, shut them down. And that's just it, is shutting them down. Like shutting the courts down, shutting, law enforcement down. I mean, I'm not going to do a speeding ticket, but it really is simple as a speeding ticket. You get pulled over for speeding. Okay, say you're doing like 79 miles an hour and 65. They pull you over. Okay, and they go, hey, you did 79 and 65. Here's your ticket. Well, was there any property damage? No. Was anybody harmed? No. Then why do I have to pay this fine? Because we say so. Because we set the rules. No, you set an ordinance. That's why when you go to traffic court, the Constitution does not apply to traffic court. You're under a municipal jurisdiction. And if you're a state national, that's not your jurisdiction. They're out of their jurisdiction.
And if you talk to policemen like this, they're going to be like, what?
Well, you'd be surprised. There are some policemen who are just like, do you know this?
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, literally, you can really take that badge and file in common police court against that law enforcement officer. You get $5,000, you can sue him for $5,000. I mean, how far do you want to go with this?
Right.
Do you want to fight over a ticket? Is that the hill you're going to die on? No. But I mean, it's little simple things like that. You didn't cause an accident.
Right.
You didn't hurt anybody, cause any damage. So what's the problem?
Let me ask you this. So one thing I talk about with the gender challenges that are happening right now, that within the Constitution, and tell me if I'm saying this right.
Okay.
The Constitution wants you to clarify if you're a man or a woman. I might not be saying this, but if you don't identify as either of those, you have no constitutional rights.
Well, that is correct.
Okay.
Because
did I say that correctly?
Well, a lot of people. That's what I'm doing. I'm claiming myself as a man.
Right.
So, as a person of God, person of land and soil, and that's just it. You don't have any rights. That was the biggest thing. Like when people were talking about the mandates and everything, there's like, hey, you don't have a right to do that. Well, you're just a citizen. Actually, you have no constitutional rights. You've never claimed the correct status.
Okay, so right now, no one has rights.
Not really. No. I mean, you can.
I'm laughing, but I'm not.
I mean, you're under their thumb. If you're just a number to them, and they can just manipulate you any way they can. They can manipulate any way they can. You have no rights until you like what I did with the schools.
Right.
I'm like, no. What you're doing is you're harming my property. You're harming.
So is it okay if we go?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, well, you went to the link, and it's called. I mean, there's the sovereigns. There's the sovereign's way. That's the new one that one of the people in our group is like, dude, we gotta check this out.
Okay.
The sovereign's way, that costs money. It costs a lot of money. We're trying to raise money for it, within our group, because there's a lot of literature, and we have not done that yet. I have not explored that yet, but that's just one that just popped up past couple weeks. The other one is the American States Assembly, and it's TASA.AmericanStateNationals.org.
Okay, can you text me these later?
Yeah, I'll text
to make sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll have them listed below, and I'll have them at the bottom of that video as well. Yeah.
So you can go to that, and then there's that AmericanStateNationals.org. It's TASA AmericanStateNationals.org. For some reason, if you don't put the TASA dot, it shows up like some kind of like fake Yeah. But they have like this training course. It's called a SIA training course, SIA. Mm-hmm. And you can click on that, and just if you give a donation, you can start learning about it. And it's Anna von Reitz is the person who's pretty much publishing this literature. So if anybody knows who Anna von Reitz is, she's a state national also. She's up in Alaska. But just go check it out. It'll blow your mind. Like the first course, you'll be just.
Do you know how many people in the United States are doing this at this point? Do you have any idea?
The only tally I have was back in like 2020, they were saying there was only 40,000 back in 2020.
40,000.
But what they're saying, like now, when we're like filing this stuff, they're like, these are just regular people. Like they're not paid, and that's the way every office held by government is. It's supposed to be an unpaid voluntary thing. So these people are just literally like a volunteer, and you're just like, hey, I'm sorry, we're just swamped. Because you'd be like, hey, I emailed you this stuff, and you're just like, you have no idea how many people are doing this right now.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're like swamped, and these are just like average people like me. They're just like living in, trying to do this.
Craig Campbell, whoa.
Trying to do this in their own house, and they're just like, oh my gosh, So a lot of people are doing it right now. A lot of people are searching this out because a lot of people. I think when the mandates showed up, people started looking around like, what do you mean I don't have any rights? What how can they do this? And I think people just started digging in and finding the truth of how this madness works.
Okay. And literally, we're sitting here in my little house in Akron too. Just here we are, just talking to you.
Yeah.
So again, any individual can do this stuff. All right, let's go to your kids. So two attending a private school.
Yeah. Well, 3 of them now. Yeah.
Okay, but at the time, a Christian.
Catholic school.
Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us what happened.
What
did you do?
What was it? The 2020-2021 school year? COVID hit in 2020 in March. So they never went back to school after that. That's when, DeWine was the first governor to shut down schools in the United States. People forget this. He was the first to do everything, and people forget this. They all look at Gavin Newsom and, Cuomo, these evil people, and it's like, wait a minute. DeWine was the first one to do all of it.
Wasn't there a domino effect after that? Like after he did it,
after he did it, you're like, oh my gosh, we got to one up this guy. We got to do something better. Right. It's total crap. So they never went back in 2020. So 2020, 2021 school year, they were just like, hey, your kids can come back to school, but there's all these they have to eat at their desk. They can't, they have to like scrub their desk like every 2 hours, and they have to wear a mask. And I'm like, no. I asked my kids, I'm like, my kids never wore a mask. Anywhere we went, go in a store, people would, hey, your kids supposed to wear a mask. My kids would be like, why? They just looking at these customers, and they're just like, well, you need to tell your daddy you need to wear a mask. He's like, I don't need to wear a mask. Why are you wearing a mask, lady? So they were like trained that, because I saw this coming before COVID. I just didn't know it was going to be that you would use COVID for this. I was just like, is it here? So I pretty much knew that it's just an obedience thing. That's all it is. It's be obedient, your part, be part of the team, So
and there's so much proof. I haven't really gone into all this yet. So much proof that masks do not prevent anything. And there's so much for me being a meditative type person in terms of looking at someone in the face, looking at their eyes, and smiling, and all those cues that we use, and plus the all these dental problems that kids and adults, everyone's having right now. I mean, it's going to magnify as we go through. So we also in our group discussed all of this, and I don't know if I'm going to have links down there to any of this quite yet. I like just going into it. All right.
So yes, so so 2020, 2021 school year, there was like, I'm like, they're not going to school, so we homeschooled, and yada yada yada. So the 2021-22 school year was coming, and it was like July of 21. They're like, hey, are you bringing your kids back to school? I'm like, okay, well, what are the what was it, the health and safety policy? Right. What's the health and safety policy? So they sent it to me, and all it said was, if your kid has a fever, wait 48 hours to bring him to school. I said, that's it, correct? That's it. There's none of this masking. They're like, no, that could change. And I go, what do you mean it could change? Well, we'll just follow whatever the CDC. I said, no, this is a health policy. I'm enrolling my kids due to this policy.
I'm paying to enroll my
then
kids.
You need to send me documentation of why, send me an updated version of why. and why you would mask the children, and the benefits of masking the children, and if it's effective. And it was like, oh, no, we're not doing masks. I said, okay, fine. So I enrolled him.
And how big is the school?
It's
an idea?
It used to be a big school when I went there, but now it's like 25 per class.
Okay, so first through sixth grade kind of thing?
K through 8, yeah.
K through 8, okay.
Yeah. So then, what was it? I'm going to say, so they went back to school like August, like, I don't know, like mid-August.
Yeah.
Literally, we go down for like Labor Day, down to the lake, and my brother's just like, hey, did you get that email? I go, what email? He's just like, the school sent emails to everybody. I'm like, I didn't get an email. And literally, I didn't. So like, even before that, I sent messages. I sent a notice to the principal before school started. I sent it to the bishop of the diocese. I sent it to the superintendent of the diocese, and I let him know that you are not going to harm my children. You are not going to. They're not going to participate in any medical experiment. Which the mask is an EUA. That's a medical experiment. The testing is an EUA. That's a medical experiment. And then the vaccine is an EUA, and that's a medical experiment. So I under the U.S. code, the Drug and Cosmetic Act, I used that.
Okay.
And then I used the Nuremberg Code, and I cited those with them. Even before school started, when I sent in my first payment, and everything.
Can you tell everybody what the Nuremberg Code is?
You have the right to deny to participate in a medical experiment.
Thank you. And that was based off of World War II?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they went back to school, and literally, like, I never got the email until it was Sunday night, 9:00 at night. The principal finally drops the email. Last second.
Way.
Everybody else got it like Saturday,
Oh.
and she was just waiting.
She just knew.
Last minute. So guess what? I was up to 3:00 in the morning, resending the documents, copying all the emails I sent all them, and then again stating all over again to all of them that this is not going to happen, and you're not going to deny my child education. Because now you're discriminating against them for not participating in a medical experiment. So in the Nuremberg Code, you have the right to deny medical experiment, and you have the right not to be discriminated against that medical experiment. So literally, I'm the first one in line to drop off that Monday.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear Craig tapping on the table. Man, he is serious.
Yeah.
This is serious business.
I'm the first one. I had to get the kids up like really early because I wanted to be the first in line. So I get there. And I'm the first one in line.
Are you the only parent concerned?
Well, that's the funny thing is, they took all the family registry. They took it down off their website, so you can't communicate with one another.
Oh wow!
Even the parish registry.
Wow.
The family registry, gone. They don't want you talking. That's what the Catholic Church has come to. That's how just dirty rotten they are now.
Again, a community and connection and
they don't want you talking to one another.
Okay.
Yeah, so the family directory's gone, school directory's gone, everything is gone. So I get there, and literally, they start opening up the door and getting the kids out of the cars like 7:40. It's like 8:00, and nobody's out there. None of the teachers are out there to let the kids in. Nothing. They were all in a meeting because of me. They walk out and they're all masked up, and I looked at them and I go, are you going to force a medical experiment on my child today? They go, no. I said, you're not going to discriminate them. You're going to allow them to go to school. They go, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so my kids, my 2 kids at that time were the only 2 in that school. Only 2 in that school where a parent actually has sat there, studied, read, and actually provide documentation to them. And then after that, it was just a battle because, like, things would change, and every time, like, the CDC would change something, they would try to be like, hey, look, now the CDC is doing this, so this changed, so you now you have to resubmit this stuff. I'm like, no, this doesn't change.
Right, that might change, but I don't.
This doesn't change.
Right.
It doesn't change one bit. So then, like, the governor had this great idea to force kids to get vaccinated. It was, okay, that's when they took DeWine's power away. The legislative, they came and took his power away, and that's when all the masks kind of like went away. But then they said, okay, if anybody tests positive for COVID, the people with the mask can stay. The people without the mask have to go because they got exposed. So the first day of that,
I've forgotten about that.
the first day of that, I get a phone call that I need to come pick up my child and quarantine my child. And I go,
I remember us talking about that.
for what? Because they weren't wearing a mask. I said, well, do we have to do this again? And they're just like, well, it's not my call. The city said that they have to quarantine. And I go, okay. So I take my daughter home. And then they were trying to do the same thing with my son.
I love that your kids were okay because there's so much pressure within kids. Like, why aren't you wearing a mask? You're going to be hurting your parents. Okay.
My kids are tough as nails now. They know everything. They were, 5. They were 5 and 7 at that time. They were sharp as a tack. They knew
they could talk the talk.
They knew exactly. Like my son, when he walked into school and he was told, because I gave my son a document for him to keep in his book bag, and a constitution, of course, and so he's not wearing a mask, and all the kids are like, hey, why isn't Luke wearing a mask? And teacher's like, why aren't you wearing a mask, Luke? Because he's like, because I'm not a slave. And they're just like, he's like, because I have rights and I'm not a slave.
Oh my gosh, think of how many people in just that class that got to
Yeah,
hear
they're just like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So back to the quarantine. So I take my daughter home and I'm just like, I gotta go through this quarantine stuff. So she says the city did this. So I call the city. And I go,
oh my gosh.
hey, I got a question for you. Yeah, the school told me I need to take my child home for quarantine because somebody else got sick. And they go, was she wearing a mask? I go, of course not. And they go, oh, does she have to stay home? I said, okay, well, why? Well, why is that? Well, it's because of CDC protocols. And I go, okay, so you're going to place my child on house arrest. You're saying that my child is an imminent threat and danger to the health and safety of others. I go, I was like, did the judge already, is there a court order on this? They go, well, no. I was just like, in order for you to place somebody on house arrest and deem him a threat to the health and safety of others, I mean, that's house arrest. You need a court order. And you're just like, sir, no. I go, yes.
Can you just do what we're saying, please?
Yeah.
And stop being
Yeah. I'm like, no. And
you're
you're just like, it's like, well, it's the state that made the rule. I was like, okay, go to the state. So I called the state. As soon as I called the state, first thing they say, are you scheduling for a COVID-19 vaccine? No, I need to talk to somebody about quarantine and who sets quarantine. And they go, oh, well, we really don't have a department like that. I was like, well, get me your supervisor. So they give me somebody else, and they're like, I was like, well, get me your supervisor. So I'm on the phone for like an hour. And at the same time, Maslin is trying, the city is trying to get me the court order, per se. So this lady picks up the phone. She goes, what are you calling? I go, yeah, like the city said I had to quarantine my child. They're like, yeah, we have nothing to do with that. We only give guidance. That's up to the city. So I called the city back, and I'm like, hey, state kicked it back to you.
Did you record this, or how did you?
No, I wasn't that. Not that tech savvy.
Okay, you didn't need to.
So I call back to the state. I go, oh, okay, guess what? It's on your shoulders now. So the state said it's you, and they go, I was just like, court order. I need a court order, and I need to know who I'm suing. And they go, okay, we'll get back to you. 4 hours later, they call me back. 4 hours later, and this is what they told me. They go, sir, we have every right to quarantine. I go, okay. Do you have that court order? No, but we under law have a right to quarantine. I go, okay, example. They're like, if you had AIDS, you knowingly had AIDS, you went around intentionally having unprotected sex with people, and you were infecting multiple people with AIDS or HIV, then we have the right to quarantine. I said, that's a crime. That's a felony crime. You're telling me my child, you're like, well, no. I was like, so this does not apply to my child. They go, no, sir. We only set guidelines. It's on the school.
Woo! Wow.
So yeah, so then I go right to the principal. I go, I told you so. I told you not to violate the rights of my children. It's all you. And I told you this the whole entire time. They're using it. Because they do. All the schools took bribes. They all took bribe money. They say, hey, we have all this COVID money. If you throw them in masks and you do all this, you get this money. Mm-hmm. If you don't get the money. It will make your schools' lives a living hell. They all took the bribes. They all did. Every entity of government took the bribes. They all did it for money and greed. They all did it.
How's it feel to say that?
It's horrible. And I am praying for the day that they're all held accountable. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. And they will be. And they know it's getting old. They're starting to sweat a little bit right now. Mm-hmm. Everything's falling apart. Mm-hmm. And you know what they're going to do?
What?
World War III. Just, let's go right to World War III. Just forget about everything.
Hey, do you think that's actually going to happen?
It's already happened.
Well, yeah. It's not in the nuclear weapons that we're expecting, but that's what's going on right now.
They want you to feel like chaos.
Yes. Okay, first, Craig, badass. I mean, it takes guts to do these things and to stand up to institutions and to stand up to people that we trust or think we should trust, that have our best interest in mind. Mm-hmm. Okay, knowing that you know a lot that is going on in the world, and knowing my last guest, we really talked about Hollywood and, again, there's so much in terms of
Kanye.
Yay.
What he's doing now. Oh, love that guy. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's doing what everybody else should have done. He's doing what every professional athlete should have done. I mean, Kyrie Irving was probably the most outspoken one. And who's the other guy?
In terms of not getting...
The guy who changed his name to Freedom. What the heck's his name? Oh, gosh. Yeah, I don't know who he even plays for. I don't know, because he got booted from the team. They threw him, Okay. I can't remember his name. But, yeah. They have a platform. They have money. But here's the craziest thing. Why is it that none of those players own a team? Look at the NFL. How many millions of dollars like Tom Brady has, or how many millions of dollars? They don't own a team. You don't know why? Because only the powerful elite own teams. NFL is the largest nonprofit in the world. It's a perfect place. Perfect place to funnel money.
Okay, so I'm not a big football person, but they're nonprofit?
They're nonprofit. God. The National Football League is nonprofit. How can that be? I mean, we have Ukraine to funnel money through, and then dirty money, and then the NFL. And you look at like some of the decisions the NFL makes, you're just like, why are they? They're elites. They're the powerful elites. They're the elite club. So, I mean, and what Ye's doing right now, he's on a roll right now. He's
rattling some chains.
Yep, he is.
He is, and he's waking people up too. And the fact that he... Oh, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I just saw like something he posted about, Ron Emanuel. You remember him? He was like Chicago mayor. He worked for Obama. Okay. Yeah. Well, his brother is a guy who owns Kanye West pretty much.
How so?
He is Hollywood.
Okay.
He runs Hollywood. And he just called him out, and somebody did like a what do you want to call it? When you search somebody's name, what does it go to? It goes to like, I don't know, Wiki or something like that. It gave the bio of this guy. It's probably gone by now, but I have it on my phone. Like who his family was, who his father was, like part of like just military groups that like in Israel that would just go out and just bash skulls. I mean, it's just, yeah, that's who this guy is. And Ye's out there just like pointing out, it's like, yep, that's him. That's the whole cabal wrapped up in one guy in Hollywood. and they're shutting him down. They're trying to just shut down his bank accounts. They at iTunes, they're making Apple remove his iTunes, everything. Adidas canceled.
Like
He makes
canceling him,
yeah,
silencing him, canceling.
Adidas,
And again, this is doing it to a person with opinions.
Adidas makes like $1.5 billion a year off Kanye West, and he's just like, you have to can him. Yeah, who is that powerful? Yeah, people are like, oh, Kanye West, he's a millionaire. He's a little man just like us. Mm-hmm. He's not the elite.
with all of this, I told Craig I was going to ask him this as well, since this is a spiritual, and talking about all of these horrible things, which, the point of this is to bring awareness to you, to bring awareness to the people, but also to connect us and to unite us and to be as peaceful as possible. Craig, if you were going to advise people who are just opening up to these things, or people who know a lot already, how do you remain grounded and as peaceful as possible through all of this stuff?
Talk to people just a little bit. My wife, she works for I guess you could say the federal government too, and a lot of things happen to her. So, and she knew.
She's a whole other story.
Oh yeah, but around the office, she just sits there and she'll just chime in a little bit. Yeah, they're gonna do this next. And they go, oh, it ain't gonna happen. And the next thing you know, boom, it's there. And all these people are just like, they look at my wife now and they're just like, what's gonna happen next? Because it's not. You don't try to just get them in somebody's face like, dude, you gotta do this. Stop listening to these people. No, it's just little bits. Just trying to wake people up. That's the only way you stay sane is wake. I mean, people are like, hey, Craig, what's the conspiracy thing today? I said, there are no conspiracies. What are you talking about? I research them. There's no conspiracies.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you talk, do you talk with an open heart? How would you describe it, knowing that some people are really locked down?
Yeah, people, you just pray for them is all you do. You do. Like, I have family members that are just locked into that, and there's no budging them. And they'll just let the chips fall where they may. I mean, it's just it's going to get ugly. Just prepare yourself and just pray. Pray to God, like, what do I need to do? And he ain't going to tell you. He only gives you clues of what to do. Little clues. And that's where you go off those little clues. And when you see something, you're like, what? Did that just? Yeah, it did just happen.
How did you feel about talking today?
Oh, good. No, totally fine. Yeah.
Good. All right. Is there any last piece of information you want to leave, or is there anything else? Well, I say, is there anything else left? Oh my gosh. Is there anything left for you this evening? We were recording this evening.
I don't know, not really. I would just say, just to people, just stay strong and stick to it. Stick to your roots. Don't veer off course. The more we stick together, the better we're going to be. So I think people are starting to realize that everything out there is fake. It's all fake. I mean, the racial turmoil, like all this stuff, it's all fake. And even people are everybody's noticing it. They're like, wait, this is all fake. I mean, just look at it, just realize it's fake. And don't fact check anything, because fact checks are fake also, because they own the fact checks.
Yes.
So, just go with
it. And if it is fact checked, that probably means you need to, well, not probably, it means you need to look at it more.
Yeah, and not only that, your gut never lies. It never, ever lies. Your gut never lies. You're like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this, or, maybe, this is going to be a bad idea, or you watching something, you're like, this ain't going to work out. You are absolutely correct. Because that gut, God gave you that gut. You can't control your gut. It controls you.
I think that's what our meditation is going to be about, people. All right, Craig, this was really always enlightening. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
All right, done.
Done. Bye.
Bye. Peace out.
Ah,
Peace out.
peace out.